It's no secret that when a state or a country restricts access to abortion, more women die. They die seeking unsafe, illegal abortions, they die at the hands of abusive partners, and they die from pregnancy complications. That's what the research shows, and that's what lawmakers know will happen when they restrict abortion access, but they do it anyway because they don't care about women or even see them as complete humans. For instance, here's just one study from 2021 published in the American Journal of Public Health that looked at the National Center for Health Statistics data for pregnant Americans between the ages of 10 and 44 from 2015 to 2018. They examined total maternal mortality, defined as a death while pregnant or within 1 year following the end of a pregnancy, from any cause related to or aggravated by the pregnancy or its management. They further divided those deaths by timing to identify maternal mortality, those occurring during pregnancy or within 42 days of being pregnant, and late maternal mortality, which is those occurring between 43 days and 1 year following the end of a pregnancy, as additional outcomes of interest. And they found that states with a higher number of abortion-restricting policies had a 7% increase in total maternal mortality. In addition, states with a licensed physician requirement had a 51% higher total maternal mortality and a 35% higher maternal mortality. And restrictions on state Medicaid funding for abortion was associated with a 29% higher total maternal mortality. These findings contribute to the growing evidence documenting the detrimental impact of a restrictive reproductive rights climate on maternal and infant health. And that was just in states with abortion restrictions before the Supreme Court killed Roe v. Wade, so you can only imagine how grim things are now that some states have completely outlawed abortion. In fact, you will have to imagine how bad things are in Texas because, as I mentioned back in December of 2022, that state introduced a new enhanced method of counting maternal mortality that lowers the total number of deaths and makes it unable to be compared to other states or even be compared to historical data from Texas. They also really take their time on releasing that data, waiting years to do so, meaning that they can't take immediate action to try to fix bad trends, even if they wanted to, which, to be clear, they don't want to. Texas's Republican lawmakers are quite happy to allow women to die, particularly the poor, Black, Indigenous, and Hispanic women who are disproportionately affected by these abortion bans. So while we don't have that maternal mortality data from Texas, we do have an interesting new study showing that it's not just more women who are dying in Texas since the abortion ban, but more babies too. Infant deaths after Texas's 2021 ban on abortion in early pregnancy was just published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, and the results are sadly not surprising. Since their most restrictive ban in 2021, infant mortality in Texas has skyrocketed 13%. To put that into context, infant mortality in the United States has been steadily falling for the past 20 years, with a 22% decline between 2001 and 2021. But after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, the infant mortality rate actually increased for the first time by 2%. So an increase of 13% in Texas is huge and very concerning. That CDC report that found the 2% rise nationwide specifically called out Texas as a problem, along with Georgia, Iowa, and Missouri, all states where abortion is now severely restricted or outright banned. The CDC report also pointed out that the rise in infant mortality was greatest in two categories: maternal mortality and bacterial sepsis. This new study supports that CDC report and makes it clear just how bad the problem is, finding that the increase in infant deaths in Texas wasn't seen in other states where abortion isn't restricted, leading the authors to conclude that this was causal. The abortion ban directly caused these infant deaths. They also found that the rate of infant deaths attributable to congenital anomalies rose by a shocking 23% in Texas, despite them dropping by 3% in the rest of the United States. These are infants with severe birth defects that are unfixable, defects that doctors can detect earlier in a pregnancy and they can then be aborted. In cases where a fetus is aborted because of birth defects that will make them unable to live, those are wanted pregnancies. Many people would choose to abort and then be able to try again. But now in Texas, women are forced to continue to carry non-viable fetuses for 9 months, putting their their own health at risk, only to give birth to an infant and watch as they die painfully and horribly. Oh, and also expensively. Can't forget that. We don't give people basic health care in this country, so those non-viable pregnancies can also end up bankrupting the parents. Fun. Texas, of course, isn't the only state forcing people to suffer and die miserably because of religious zealotry. In Idaho, where abortion is banned except in cases of rape and incest and supposedly maternal mortality has risen 121.5% from 2019 to 2021, and infant mortality has risen 18%. 30% of pregnant women there have no health insurance, and 20% received zero prenatal care in that first trimester. 88% of maternal deaths were found to be preventable with basic health care. This data is critically important because I suspect a lot of Americans think that banning abortion only affects women like me who do not want children. In actuality, people like me are at risk, but honestly, the least amount of risk. If I lived in Texas and I found out I was pregnant, I would simply fly to a better state and pay out of pocket for an abortion. Poor people who don't want kids are obviously in a much worse place because they would have to figure out how to get to that other state without losing their job or going into debt, or how to somehow get that medication at home. But the people most at risk, in my opinion, are the people who do want children. Because while abortion in the early weeks and months of a pregnancy is now safe and easy, pregnancy remains a very dangerous condition. You may be able to detect a non-viable fetus early and fly somewhere to get an abortion if you can afford it, but even a well-off woman can experience an emergency and simply not have the time to get somewhere where they can access decent medical care. In an emergency, a pregnant person will just need to go to the local hospital. And in Texas, that's where a doctor will be forced to decide how much risk they want to take on. Is the woman close enough to death to perform an abortion? Should we roll the dice and just hope she lives? Personally, I would not want to bet my life on a doctor prioritizing a fetus over me. I have a friend who is pregnant in Texas, and I am terrified for her. I'm terrified for every pregnant person in red states, which is why in November I will be voting against Donald Trump, who absolutely, without a doubt, will do whatever the evangelical Christians want. Do not believe him when he lies and says the Supreme Court said medical abortions are okay and I approve of that. The Supreme Court did not say that. They dismissed a case. They could still hear another one. They can still outlaw medical abortions. And if Donald Trump gets into office, he will empower them to do that. Because that's what the evangelicals want. They want to take away not just the health care of women in red states, but our health care in every state. Please do not let them. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.